Hey guys, welcome back. We got our coin door painted with a couple coats of that black semi-gloss paint, and we're gonna tackle putting it back together. So let's get going. Okay, we got our plastic bits all washed off. There was like a layer of paint that somebody had on here. It's not the greatest thing in the world. I've got most of it off. Still kind of not very happy with it. Now somebody decided to paint these plastic pieces, which kind of sucks. But what we're going to do now is we got these little reject buttons here. What we're going to do is we're going to change the insert from saying 25 cents. We don't want it to say 25 cents. We want it to say all Castle Games. So, and that's what we're going to do right now. So if you've never changed the pricing label before, it's not that hard. We're on the back here. There is a couple of, you see that stuff? Here. There's a couple of tabs. I don't know if you can see this or not. A little plastic tab in here. There's another plastic tab on that side. You can just get in there real carefully with a screwdriver. Pop that tab down. And then there's a little screwdriver thing on the top here. You can slowly but surely kind of pry that away. You have to be careful because these things are old and brittle. And they will break. Once you get that pushed through like so, I don't know if you can see this or not, just kind of pull it. Sometimes these things have been on there a long time and they just don't want to come apart. Then you go down the other side. Once you got one side loosened up, and release the tab on the other side. Cracking is not a good noise. There we go. There you go. And then it'll come apart like so. You'll have this. You have these two pieces here, like that, and then just kind of remember how the orientation of the sticker is. So we're going to take the 25 cent, translate out, it's like so, throw that away somewhere. That's why my place is a mess. Maybe wipe this down a little bit better. We usually use stickers on the front of our doors. We don't have... In the old days, you would use this for pricing out your games. And if you had to change the price, you had to take this mechanism apart. You know, put 50 cents in here. You know, 4 quarters times 2 for 50 cents. Yeah, it's early today. You put your insert in, and then line it all up. And there's these little... It's really hard to see, but there's these little teeny little things that stick up here, and then inside here there'll be... If you can see this or not, my camera's horrible. They got little bitty holes that they all kind of fit into. So you just got to carefully put this back together and wiggle it into the holes. Push down. Make sure those things are clicked good. And then, there we go. And there you go. So we're going to use this these plastic bits, and we're going to put the rest of the door back together. We're going to need to address these coin switches here, because we're not going to use the ones that are on the game. I just don't trust them, and we're going to put some new ones in. Well, sort of new. So what we're going to do is there'll be a couple screws here, and keep tabs, because there'll be can you see this? Okay, there'll be a flat screw, and then there'll be a round capped screw here, a round ended screw, and the recessed screw here is important to make sure it gets put back there so that this switch, can you see that, misses the recessed screw. If you switch these two around, this will get hung up down here. So we're going to go ahead and pull these off. And it will come into many pieces when you do this. I'm used to doing this on the game, so this is kind of weird. I usually don't take this thing off. Just grip that there. There's that little bit of plastic we don't need. Okay. You'll notice there is a plastic nylon washer in there. And usually it will come out. This little, you see that? This little tiny nylon washer is important for making sure that this thing has free movement, so let's not lose that. Down there. this piece will kind of fall apart when you do this, so take our suspect coin switch away. I've already done this, but I kind of bend up a little bit on these new ones when we put them in, just to give it that little bit of extra click tension. These were only used for maybe a couple weeks, so they're not exactly new, but I put them on new so I know how old they are. And then we put this through there. Make sure that your switch rests inside this, this little area here. Put your recess screw in there. We're not going to tighten it down too tight yet. And then we're going to go put through our round cap screw. I don't know what it's a rounded end screw. I don't know what its official name for it is. Oh, music's going. Cat opened the door. I'm gonna get flagged for that. I'm gonna go take care of that. Hold on. Stupid cats. Let's go ahead and tighten this down. Also on the back you'll find the one with the nylon lock washer. For some reason they use that one on the back. There you go. Probably because this thing kind of frees up. So a little tighten. A little bend. A bit too much. It's a good time to inspect to make sure that your switch is lined up. You don't have a bit of it hanging over. If you're going to bend on this, you should probably use 2 of these, not what I did. So there we go, we got this one ready to go back on. Okay, it's just a matter of reassembling everything now. So basically put stuff back on in reverse order, which I totally suck at. There's 2 little nubs that stick up here, if you can see that. There's one where the screw goes and one where the screw just is like this is kind of like a a guide. So there's 2 little nubs on the door here. That's how I've been lining them up. It's actually easier to put the bottoms on first. Make sure that this little tab is in there. Make sure that this is all lined up straight, because if this is crooked, the coin will roll crooked. And then we also line up the front of it so that it's parallel on the front of this door here. We don't want it cock out one way or the other. I kind of just tend to push it all the way up. Tighten these down. Make sure your spring doesn't get bunched up inside there as well. Like it will tend to go through where it's not supposed to. So there we go. We got new switches. We got nice, relatively straight chutes. I'll throw a little 3-in-1 oil on here, just a tiny bit on these springs. You don't have to do that, but sometimes I do. They seem like they got some rust on them. So. We use token mechs, so I'm going to use this Imanex. Well, I can't show you what kind it is, but it's an Imanex coin mech. That's what we use for our tokens on the route, so we're going to use this. This is where if you had like if you had the old coin controls, Illinois, I don't remember who makes these, I think it's Coin Controls, made these coin mechs with the cradle and all these moving parts. I don't really like those. I like these. These are fairly expensive, but there's no moving parts. They're very reliable. I can't say enough good things about them. With coin mechanisms, you either will have 4 pegs, you'll have sometimes just 2 pegs. This one has just got 2. On your metal mechanisms, there'll be little screws. You can screw the little pegs in, and that's how you can set it for 4 or 2. Coin control doors are usually only they're only 2. There's just a little channel inside here where the coin mech will sit flat, and then the pegs will go through these holes here. Hap controls doors will have the opposite. They'll have holes in here for the little pegs to go into. I kind of prefer that better, but the only bad thing about these coin mechs is once you slice off the pegs, it's kind of hard to put them back on. So I have a bunch of different sets with 2 and 4. I just don't, I keep them separate. Some weird games, like some of the Japanese stuff, will use the 3rd hole. I don't see that too much anymore. I think Nintendo Red Tents have those. So we just set this in here, and like that. And then we've gone through both of our pegs. I don't know if you can see this very good here. We've sorry about that. We've got the guides nice right there, so that's not in there caca. Once you get that in there, you take this metal thing that we took out earlier, and that hooks up into the top here, and get this little flap. It kind of goes around that flap thing, and then it'll go between the 2 pegs right there, and then you push it together and snap this little thing in there. And now it's ready to go. It's locked and loaded. You can push reject, pops it open. I have a quarter. You can see we got a quarter. We should be able to put it through. It might not work with the door on this angle. And there you go. It came through. It was accepted and went through the coin switch. And that's it. I also have a penny here. Put that in. That should get rejected. I don't know if I can see the slot here. And it went to the end here. So that's working. We'll just go ahead and put the other one in right away. So mechanically, we're set to go. At this time, I'm going to put one of the locks on right away too. I don't know if I'm going to put all of them on, but I don't know. I'll put one of the locks on real quick. Show you that. Maybe. I'm just using a Hap Controls. It's called a cam lock. I think this is 3/4. I think. Sorry, I don't know off the top of my head. There's a couple different lengths to this. I want to say that this is 3/4 inch. This will fit the door perfectly. If I get time, I'll put it in the video what it is once I go look at the order sheet. I don't remember off the top of my head. So put this in there. I tend to like having these all kind of line up the same way, so I'll do both of them the same way. It's just got a nut. If you've installed cam locks before, this is nothing new. So, if you buy a game from us, you'll get the same. This lock will be the same on every game you buy from us. And if you lose the key, you can just give me a call, and I'll mail you another one. I'm going to get the wrench to tighten that down. For locks, I use the this 7/8 inch deep well socket, just so I get it nice and tight. It fits right over there. We've had this since Aladdin's Castle, so they're probably pretty expensive. I haven't bought one in forever. So, and now that we know that we're in the locked position, we're going to put the cam to the locked position. It's nice because these half control ones, they don't fall apart like some of them do. The older ones will just, the whole shaft will come out and stuff. That sucks. So, if I can thread anything today. Do you ever have one of those days where it's just a totally an off day? It's kind of what this day is. There you go. We just dented our new paint job right away. And if you did everything right, it shouldn't even need an adjustment. It's perfectly fine. I mean, that's why I buy these brand new ones, because sometimes you have to bend this to adjust it, but don't worry about that today. So I'm actually going to leave the keys in there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole to put this test panel back on. Also, the sticker for it came off, so I'm going to reproduce one of those quick too. Basically, this was just stuck down with Velcro, and we don't want that. We want it to be either bolted or riveted down. So I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole for either bolts or rivets here. As you can see, it's on there pretty good. So the factory would have did it. Okay, we're going to get our soldering iron on. I've got the slam switch installed, and I got the test switch plate thing installed back here. Got that cleaned up. I'm going to start with the lights at the top here. I'm going to take a look at them. It says a light called a 555 or 555. That's a 6.3 volt bulb. Generally that means that this is a 5 volt circuit. That's if they put the right bulb in there. So what I'm going to do is I generally go through and put new bulbs in. Even though that these are probably good, but to be honest, we have a lot of these bulbs left over, and this will be eventually replaced by LEDs someday, but these bulbs are cheap, so we'll go ahead and we'll slide these on there. So, and now we're going to tackle our coin switches. With our coin switches, I'm going to solder them on. The reason I do this is because when corrosion builds up on here, these spade connectors don't sometimes make the best connection. And with coins, we want to make sure that everyone gets a credit every time. And this would be just one less thing to fail. I know a lot of people are going to bitch and moan that I'm doing this, but I've had no problems after I've done this. And with new coin switches, it's not that big a deal, but so we're going to cut the spades off, strip back some wire. Oh, maybe. This wire stripper I had is pretty old. I just don't want to part with it. You notice that they daisy chain the ground wire, which would be these green wires. That's the one that goes between the two. That'd be a common ground. So there'd actually be 3 wires here, but this is just from one to the other. You'll find that a lot. Just going to twist these off. Like so. I should get a coin switch for you guys to see. Crud. I'll be right back. Most of these cherry switches you're going to find, you'll have a normally open or an NO, and then a normally closed circuit, and then you'll have something called common or C, which would be the ground. Basically that's what it means, that this is normally closed until the switch is hit, then it's open, and then this is normally open, and then when you hit the switch it closes it, and that's one we want to use. Very rarely will you have a normally closed circuit, maybe on a crane game or something like that. So we're going to connect the wires to NO and common, and that's pretty much the where you would connect wires on most of your games. I'm going to tin the wires with some solder. Tin the other wire. Snip off the end bits. And then this one has already been tinned because these were used once. I'm just going to re-tin the ends of these and under here. I'm going to connect the common here. And then the circuit up here, or the logic signal, or whatever you want to call it. There you go. Make it nice and neat and tidy. Double check our work. Drop that suction noise. Alright, so we've tackled that. We've got all our wires connected, we got our lock on, we got our slam switch installed. We're not going to adjust the slam switch. Also, one thing I forgot to mention last time is if there's a piece of insulation here, to make sure that this doesn't short to the door. If that's not there, maybe just take the switch off. It's really not needed. So we're going to go through and do that. So we got that done. And going to double check our test switch wiring here. It's also a good idea to take this time and check over this harness to make sure there's no like magical electrical tape mess, and then maybe we'll clean off these connectors with a fiberglass eraser. So we're going to install this back in the game, and I'll catch you after that's done. Okay, welcome back. We got the Koinor installed. It's all back on there. We have the sticker. You can't really see it, but we have the sticker on there again. Now we're going to work on the power situation here. And I usually start by going... I've also cleaned up in the cabinet a little bit since we've been away. I usually start right here where the power comes into the game, and I work my way in. So I've also taken the liberty of checked these fuses here to make sure they were the right ones and they weren't bad. I also need to inspect this cord to make sure there's no holes or magical bits of electrical tape, and it seems pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take apart this plug end here and see if it's okay. It's kind of rough. And we may have to replace it. Maybe we don't. I bet we do. So I'm going to take apart this and clean it up, and then I'm going to check continuity in this cable to make sure it's good. Make sure we have a good ground. Make sure we have a good ground here. And I'll see if I have another one of these plug ends around, which I probably don't right now. So we'll eventually change this. So let's do that. It's a good thing I took this off, because two of these wires were just kind of hanging in there, and that's no good. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. Other than that, the terminal's fine. Go ahead and put this back together, clean it up, but these are just falling apart. So I mean, if you take this apart, if these two things come off, that's no good. So get this put back together correctly. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our power cord is good without the game on. So we're going to take our digital multimeter. We're going to set it to ohms, or you can set it to the beep test if you want. We're going to test our meter first to make sure it's good. And so a little bit of resistance in the leads, but that's okay. I don't know if I can set this so you guys can see or not. not very good at filming this stuff yet, so there we go. Generally your earth ground right here will be green inside the cabinet. They got them bolted off down here. See that? We just want to make sure that this is getting to the wall. So we'll just stick our lead on the plug, and we'll test the chassis. And you can see, I don't know if you can see that, maybe not. I'll pull this up and set this up. So, you see that? Is that showing up? Hell no, it's not showing up. Alright, there we go. So we got the lead on the outlet prong. I'm going to test the metal of this chassis here. There's an ohm there, but on the screw 0.3, which is about where our meter is at. So we know that the earth ground is good, so that this will short out if something is wrong. Next we're going to check the mains. So we're reading through the transformer, so that's good. You go across like this. Keep it on there steady enough. Yeah, we're reading through this transformer. So we know that the cabling is good. You can either do a point-to-point test, but sometimes, you know, you're reading through this transformer. I've already checked these fuses. I confirmed that this is a 3 amp slow blow, 125 volts. And then there's also a 1 amp slow blow here for the 6.3 volts that runs the coin door lamps. So that's good. So what we're going to do now is we know that our mains cord is good. We know that there's no electrical tape. We know that this cord is solid. There's no tears in it anywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect mains from everything. We've disconnected, here, let's take this off here. We've disconnected the mains from the monitor. We've also, up there, we've disconnected the mains from the fluorescent fixture, and I've actually tied that back because we're not going to use that fluorescent fixture. We're going to use LEDs. And then the only thing that we have left connected with mains is the switching power supply. And what we're going to do for our first test when we power on is we're going to pull the JAMA harness off the logic unit, isolate that. I can see there's a wire here for some damn reason. And we'll leave that board on there. It doesn't do anything. I mean, that connector. And that way we know that if there's a problem, we'll at least not blow up our board. We're going to power this on, and we're not going to get anything. We're not going to get no picture. We're just going to get this. We just want to see if this power supply that's in here works, and then we're going to switch it out anyway, but I just want to know that it works. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's kind of hard to do from this angle. Maybe I'll pull the drawer out. I've actually just taken this off the wall so we can just get in there and probe it and stuff. We just got to be really careful we don't get near this transformer when it's on, so we make sure this is all metal and it could short out. So you can see that there's a 5 volt 12 amp, there's 2 logic grounds, a negative 5 volts 1 amp, a 12 volts 2 amp, and then there's the field ground which goes to that third prong. That's the emergency ground so you don't get shocked, and also filters out you know, like radio waves and all that stuff. And then we have our 2 terminals for our AC input. This is where we have 110 AC, usually 110, 120, whatever your wall voltage is, whatever's coming off this transformer. That goes in here. This converts it to DC voltage and regulates it and everything like that, and outputs it into different voltages here. But the only thing that's weird about the old Midway games is they're kind of like pinball machines. They still have this, if you can see that, this 6.3 volts AC that would just run like coin door lamps and stuff because you don't need DC for that. you may run into issues when you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. You have coin door lamps, but you don't have a logic. You may want to make sure that you still check this. So basically, for the purpose of this test, we just want to see if the power supply that came with this is good, and if it's good, we'll sell it to somebody cheap, and we'll put a new one for the customer. So, and when I power the games up for the first time, I tend to stand backwards, because, yeah. So, give this some juice and see what happens. Oh, we got a light on there. We got a little light there. That's a good sign that might be working. So we're going to take our digital multimeter and we're going to set it to voltage AC. I don't know if you can see that or not. I really don't have anywhere else to put it. Sorry. Drop it in there like that, I suppose. And what we're going to do is we're going to check the input voltage at the power supply. I'm going to do this up. I didn't think of filming stuff today. Very good. So we're going to take our 2 leads, put it across. Be very careful not to short them out. And if you can see that, we have 129 volts AC, which is, it's in spec. That's fine. So we know that we got good voltage going in. Now we're going to test. We're going to switch our digital multimeter to DC voltage. If you don't know how to use one of these, you should probably watch a tutorial. I'm not going to go through everything. I'm trying to get this so you guys can see it good. You just be careful when this stuff's on. You don't give yourself a little shock. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take our black, which would be the ground. We're going to touch one of these ground connectors, and we're going to start testing voltages. It's going to be hard for you to see, but go against our -5 volts. You can see it's only -3.94, so we know that this is not so good already. We're going to test our 12 volts, and we're at 11.98, and that's okay for that. Usually, and then we'll test our +5 volts, and we're at 5.12. So this power supply is okay. The -5 tends to drop like that. Most games don't use it. This one's not using it, I don't think. Well, maybe it is. Well, maybe Mortal Kombat was using it, but what they did when they installed this Calibur game is they left the original wiring for Mortal Kombat in here, and they just used that. I tend to not do that when I install a kit. I install a fresh harness and stuff, but I did not install this kit, so we're going to power it off the unit, plug it from the wall. And we're going to change out this power supply with a brand new one. You may ask yourself, Sean, why are you putting a new power supply and that one works? Well, it's working now, but it's been in there a long time. Probably since Mortal Kombat was made new. So, what is that, 12 years? I don't know. And we have a very expensive logic board here. And these power supplies maybe are 30 bucks at the most, maybe. That's probably high end. So I'd rather spend $20 or $30 on a new power supply than have this thing go bad and destroy, you know, a logic board or something, and have a dead game. You know, and getting those logic boards fixed, you may not be able to get them fixed. This, you know, Calibur is maybe a, you know, it's a pretty common game, but sometimes you have some games not so common. So doing this little step, you know, will save you in the long run. And then you can put it out, it'll be reliable. You're going to have issues with it, you know. This power supply works now, but maybe in a week it could go bad, you know. Maybe we're just at the end of its cycle. I mean, it could be out, you know, it tested okay, but we didn't do a very thorough test. So, I mean, it'll work for somebody that, you know. And if it's in your house, it probably wouldn't matter, but a lot of our games go right back to service, so. Alright, we got the game off, and we got our new power supply. We got the little things installed on there. And I usually just do this sort of like so. I do one at a time. These are not always in the same place, so make sure you read. In this particular case they are, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes these power supplies are weird. So I'm just going to basically transfer one to the other. Okay, we got our power supply all installed here. They did have the field and the ground jumpered. If I can find that jumper, there it is. With one of these, sometimes they do that for interference. We're not going to do that unless we have interference. So I don't like that. I'm just going to double check our connections. Now, if you notice on this power supply here, there's a little knob with an H and a little circly thing. That's the voltage adjust. And this is where we're going to kind of tweak our 5 volts to get it within spec. You know, we want like somewhere between 5.15, you know, around there at the logic unit, not here. So there's a lot of loss in these cables, and we're going to go over that right now. If I can find this so I can... so you guys can see what's going on here. Maybe that kind of fits in. Okay, so it looks safe. We're gonna power supply. There we go. And we have a light. That's good. So I'm going to put one on each side, and then we're gonna take a look at our meter, and we have, see that? About 130 volts AC. We have 130 volts AC. Now we're going to switch to DC. The reason I check the alternating current is because if you have garbage coming in, you're going to have garbage going out. There's like an old saying in electronics, garbage in, garbage out. So we're just going to make sure our 5 volts, we're going to see what that's at. I don't really have the best camera angle, sorry guys. Oops, wrong one. There we go. So we got 5.4. So we're going to take the little knob, we're going to adjust it up to about 5.26. And that's at this logic here. I mean at the power supply. And I bet you when we test our board we'll be right in spec. So I'm going to plug the game, unplug. I'm going to go take a look at our logic unit. Okay, we got our JAMA connected back up there, and we got it set to voltage DC. We've powered the game up, and we're going to test the 5 volts on the board itself. And we got 5 point, oh I got it backwards, sorry. We got 5.11 point, you know, it's fluctuating. So that's good. So we should have some sort of gain. I don't hear any noises, but we'll keep going. So there may be no sound on, you know. Let's check the coin switches. Ah, I coined up the game. I hear some sounds. I don't hear any more. So we know that something's going on. That's a good sign. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug the game. Like so. The game is unplugged. I'm going to visually inspect this monitor quick. I don't expect it to work, but we're going to take a look to make sure all the connectors are where they're supposed to be. There's a second anode up here. We need to make sure that's connected good. This transformer should be gone, but for now we just want to see if this thing does anything. I'm sure it's probably dead, but let's double check everything here. Doing this with the game powered off. See if it fires up at all. I don't give it much hope though. See if it fires up. We'll plug her in carefully. Oh, I heard it. It's doing something. You can see we got some net glow. Some glow on the tube there. That means we got high voltage. That's a good sign. Let's go see what we got on the picture screen. All right. A really crappy garbage picture. But it works. Really garbage picture. But we know now that we're not supposed to do this with your finger. we know that the amplifier is working. We know we got sound. That's good. We know that this logic board seems to be working. We haven't tested everything yet, but now we're pretty much there. I don't know if this test panel's hooked up, if it does anything. Yeah, it does. Look at that. So I don't have the control panel on, so we can't do anything. But there we go. So next time we're going to tackle working on this monitor, and I think yeah, this monitor is pretty much toast. You can see it's really blurry up here. I don't know. Maybe we'll have a go at it. So thanks for watching. Today we covered everything with dealing with power supply and checking it at the board, and we'll go from there. Next time we're going to work on this monitor, and we're going to take out this old fluorescent tube, which isn't hooked up anyway. We're going to put LEDs in there when they come in, and yeah, we're going to go from there. So see you next time. I can find the button.